Ever started a great book and couldn't stop? With Amazon Music Unlimited, you can listen to one full audiobook each month with your subscription. From pulse-pounding thrillers to mind-expanding nonfiction, your next great listen is waiting. Download the Amazon Music app and start your journey today.
Hey everybody, Merry Christmas. Welcome to Waking Up with Alan here, the last show of 2025. This 20th day of December, 5 days away from Christmas. We're 1 day away from winter, by the way. Tomorrow is the official start of winter. And then we have Christmas coming up, Christmas Eve, just 4 days away. And you know what? We are going to have a little bit of Christmas fun today for sure, because we've got Valerie Holt joining me next hour. She is our food talk person. We normally bring her in on the fourth Saturday, but as we are not going to have a fourth Saturday show, we are going to just go straight into the holidays, which is nice of management to do that. We will have next weekend off, and then I'll be back the first show of 2026. Can't believe it. It'll be the 3rd of January. Wow. January 3rd, 2026. We can say we will have had a quarter of the 21st century officially behind us. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. All right, but you know, there is always news that's taking place. And one of the things we do is we talk about the news on this show. We also open the phone lines if you want to be part of it. 770-386-1450. We absolutely need to get you caught up on the breaking news from last night. First, we start off with a tweet or a message. It was on Truth Social and then moved over to the X account with the Rapid Response 47 account on X. And this is from Donald Trump, our president. This is what was tweeted before the fireworks. It says, because of ISIS's vicious killing of brave American patriots in Syria, whose beautiful souls I welcomed home to American soil earlier this week in a very dignified ceremony, I am hereby announcing that the United States is inflicting very serious retaliation, just as I promised, on the murderous terrorists responsible. We are striking very strongly against ISIS strongholds in Syria, a place soaked in blood, which has many problems, but one that has a bright future if ISIS can be eradicated. The government of Syria, led by a man who is working very hard to bring greatness back to Syria and is fully in support. All terrorists who are evil enough to attack Americans are hereby warned, you will be hit harder than you have ever been hit before if you, in any way, attack or threaten the USA. And by the way, the you will be hit harder all the way to the end, all caps, typical Donald Trump style. So let's go to yesterday, as that was tweeted out. Breaking news from Brett Baer. Well, let's get the volume up here. There we go. Here we go. Brett Baer.
Breaking now, we begin tonight with President Trump's response to last week's killing of 2 American service members and a civilian interpreter in Syria. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth calls new airstrikes tonight in Syria a declaration of vengeance against ISIS terrorists. We have Fox team coverage on the breaking story. Trey Yingst is in Tel Aviv with reaction to the strikes, and Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin starts us off with what we know here in Washington. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Brett. A senior U.S. official tells Fox the U.S. military has struck more than 50 ISIS targets in the past 2 hours following the president's order to, quote, hit them hard after the killing of 3 Americans Saturday, 2 members of the Iowa National Guard and their civilian translator, by a member of the Syrian security forces. U.S. Central Command launched a massive strike on dozens of ISIS targets in an operation called Operation Hawkeye Strike. Iowa is the Hawkeye state. The strikes took place at multiple locations across Syria. The targets include ISIS infrastructure and weapons storage sites. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth tweeted, quote, "This is not the beginning of a war. It is a declaration of vengeance. The United States of America under President Trump's leadership will never hesitate and never relent to defend our people." Sergeant William Nate Howard, 29, of Marshalltown, and Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, 25, of Des Moines, and their civilian interpreter, Ayad Mansour Sakat of Michigan, returned home in a dignified transfer Wednesday at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where they were met by the president. The December 13th attack, which took place while a senior U.S. military commander was meeting his Syrian counterparts near Palmyra in central Syria. Afterwards, Syrian security forces helped carry out 10 partnered operations across Syria that led to the death, we're told, or detainment of more than 24 ISIS-affiliated individuals. The U.S. provided support during those raids. Those raids, Brett, led to the confiscation of electronics and individual interviews that resulted in the intelligence used for this operation to locate potential targets. A CENTCOM review is ongoing into the exact affiliation of the Syrian gunman who joined the security forces just 2 months before. The gunman was in the process, Brett, of being removed from the Syrian military for suspected jihadist ties.
So understand what you're hearing. After the deaths of those two service members and an interpreter, 3 Americans, there were raids conducted with the government of Syria and with help from the United States on different ISIS-known information centers. They confiscated a bunch of gear, a bunch of electronics, a bunch of information. And then with that confiscated information, they knew now where to hit all these other targets. So this is in conjunction with the government of Syria. I think it's really important for when you see the left to try to also spin this in some way other than what it is. It is an act of vengeance to avenge the deaths of Americans. It is not an act of war. And when you have the government of Syria working hand in hand with the United States to carry this out, I don't think you have to worry about us going to war with Syria. In fact, a little later, they realized it went up from more than 50 to more than 70 targets being struck. And this was also on Fox News last night, the Brett Baier program.
Hugh, this is 70 strikes inside Syria, ISIS targets. That's significant. Having covered the Pentagon for a long time, that's not minuscule. And this is in response to the killing of those 3 soldiers that you saw the president meet at Dover Air Force Base.
This is a much needed and much welcome message to every enemy of America in the world that if you harm, and the president put in caps in his True Social, if you harm or threaten any American, especially our servicemen, he will hit you harder than you have ever been hit before. And so those people in ISIS, or whether or not they're in ISIS, I'm not sure, who are getting hammered tonight. A-10s mean they're close. They're in close and they're pounding the ground. This is the best thing President Trump could do to protect American troops and civilians abroad. I applaud him completely for doing it.
And that's Hugh Hewitt on with Brett Baier giving the analysis there. Yeah, they show a video of these A-10 Warthogs. Low-flying, really, really impressive anti-personnel, anti-tank, anti-missile battery type fighters that can fly low and fast right above the ground. And he's absolutely right. He is hitting. Donald Trump wanted to hit those ISIS points harder than they've ever been hit before. So let me summarize what I've been able to pull up now. You heard Jennifer Griffiths talking about Operation Hawkeye Strike. Obviously, the men who were killed were part of an Iowa National Guard unit, Iowa the Hawkeye State, thus the name. We know over 70 ISIS targets have, I'd like to say, obliterated. I mean, knowing Donald Trump, there's not going to be a whole lot left. But 70 ISIS targets obliterated across central Syria. More than 100 precision munitions were rained down from a combination of F-15 attack fighters and A-10 fighter jets, Apache attack helicopters. We also had the HIMARS, rocket artillery. Even Jordanian jets joined the fight. So this was actually even some partners in the region. They went after weapon caches, infrastructure, terrorist hideouts, all of that gone. I mean, gone. This wasn't just a response. As you heard the Secretary of War tweet out, this was vengeance. This was America saying, you kill our people, we end you. Where has this been for a long time? Where has the peace through strength been? Gosh, it's nice to have it back. But let's go ahead. If you're just now waking up, you're just now hearing this, you didn't even hear the news last night, you've been doing some last-minute shopping, Christmas party, whatever. This started back on December 13th in Palmyra, the city of Palmyra. We had 2 Iowa National Guard soldiers, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar, 25 years old, from Des Moines, and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, age 29, from Marshalltown, along with their civilian interpreter, Ayad Mansour Sakat. They were ambushed and they were murdered by a lone ISIS gunman. 3 other Americans were wounded, by the way. Those heroes, they were there supporting counter-ISIS operations. They were working with the Syrian government, building ties with the government after Assad's fall last year. But of course, ISIS, you're talking 7th century barbaric Islamist thugs who have never really gone away, saw an opportunity and took it and decided to spill American blood on foreign soil. And President Trump did not hesitate. He vowed serious retaliation. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, as he should be called in times like this, made it clear this would be an overwhelming show of force. The remains of our fallen came home to Dover Air Force Base just 3 days ago, December the 17th. President Trump himself there to salute them in that dignified transfer. And the United States mourned. But it wasn't just about mourning. We acted. Since that attack, U.S. and partner forces conducted 10 operations in Syria and Iraq, by the way, killing or capturing 23 ISIS operatives and then gathering, as you heard Jennifer say, critical intel that pinpointed where they would target next. And that's what happened yesterday. We struck hard. Explosions lit up the night from Palmyra to Deir ez-Zor to Raqqa to Homs, the heart of ISIS remnants in the Syrian desert. Reports say at least 5 ISIS fighters killed in one area alone, including a drone cell leader. The new Syrian government under President Ahmad al-Sharara fully supported the strikes and pledged to keep fighting ISIS with no safe havens. As of this morning, CENTCOM calls it a massive success. Peace through strength. President Trump said we're hitting them harder than ever, warning any terrorist, and this is a great message to the rest of the world, attack America and you'll be hit like you've never been hit before. Folks, as we head to the bottom of the hour and get to a GNN break, to me, this is what real leadership looks like. This is what America first and putting Americans first looks like. No apologies, no weakness, no endless quagmires. Just decisive action to protect American lives and crush evil. ISIS thought they could regroup, thought America might look away. They were wrong. And pun intended, dead wrong. As we close off, God bless our troops. And God bless the families of our heroes. Here's GNN.
Oh yeah, candles burning low, lots of mistletoe.
Welcome back, everybody. Waking Up with Alan here on a Saturday, the last Saturday of, well, for me, of 2025. I know there's one more, but we're not going to be here next weekend. Going to get the entire weekend off. The management team here deciding, there's no reason to come in 2 days after Christmas. So it's going to be fun. And it's the nice thing for me, we're celebrating our immediate family, the kids, their spouses, me and my wife. We're going to celebrate the family Christmas next weekend anyway, so that's nice. We are doing my the Sanders family, we're doing that tomorrow. Actually, going to be doing a Thanksgiving 2.0 feast. So my brothers, their wives, any nephews or nieces in town, my mom, they're all going to be coming over. And, of course, our kids will come over, too, for dinner. So should be a nice celebration. So we're doing that the weekend before. Then we're going to do our personal family Christmas the weekend after, which allows all of our kids, they're all adults, they've all got families and extended friends and everything, of course. It'll allow them to go do whatever they want Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, without pressure of having to go and hit 4 or 5 different places on the same day. And we just thought, you know what, that works out better for us because we would rather have more time with them and not have them rushing around and try to share everything on one day. I mean, let's face it, it's the Christmas season, and that's quite okay. I remember I said this, I think it was some people off air. I don't remember if I said it on air during Bartow's Morning News. The very first time we decided to move the Christmas feast up for my family, my brothers, my mom, we moved it up to the weekend prior. The person who gave us the most backlash was my mom. She was not happy because that wasn't Christmas. And we were like, well, you know, this is when we're going to do it, okay? We've decided, since we're hosting the Christmas dinner, we took that over after my dad passed away. And by the way, I love doing it. Absolutely love making that feast. I'm the cook in the house, and I love cooking. I really do. So, in fact, I worked on the brine yesterday. It's sitting in the refrigerator. The turkey should be, hopefully, it's been in the refrigerator for almost 6 days now, hoping to thaw. A 22-pound bird. So it's going to go in the brining bag as soon as I get done today. Going to go home. I'm going to grab that bird. I'm going to rinse it off. Going to go ahead and take the gizzard bag out and everything. I'm going to put it in the brining bag, stick it in a bucket, and then I'm going to add the brine and then put it in the fridge. And it's going to brine until tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. We'll put it on the smoker and endeavoring to eat sometime between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to all of it. But I remember the very first year we moved it up, my mom was like, well, that's not Christmas. And it's not. And we're like, well, you know what? You don't have to come if you don't want to. Well, of course she did. And I will never forget, at the end of that evening, she was like, you know what? This was so nice. No one was chasing to get to somewhere else. Nobody was racing because they had to visit 2 or 3 other places on Christmas Day. We still have Christmas Day to do whatever we want. And it opened up her eyes to the whole idea. You know what? We can do it on a different day. And it's been great ever since. All right, which is not what I was here to talk about, but I just decided to share that with you since this is the last show before Christmas. 770-386-1450 is the phone number if you want to be part of the program. Donald Trump was at a rally, held a rally last night, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. He's going to be doing this all throughout 2026, reminding Americans about accomplishments, about what he's inherited, about what needs to be fixed, about what needs to be, about some of the big changes coming in 2026. So last night he actually took a side jaunt to Mar-a-Lago, and there's a reason for it. And I'm going to get to that reason in a second. But this was last night talking about the FBI raiding his personal residence.
I had these animals trying to attack me at Mar-a-Lago. They went into my wife's closet. And I'll say this, number one, it's very bad, but it sounds a little strange. They looked at her drawers. You have drawer, and then you have drawer. They looked at both. And she's a very meticulous person, like these people, just like she'd fit into your group very well. She'd be very happy with her, but everything is perfect. Her undergarments, sometimes referred to as panties, are folded, perfect, wrapped. They're like so perfect. I said, that's beautiful. It's the part of the world she came from. Everything was perfect, no problem. Fold, fold, fold. I think that she steams them, make sure. Just that we came home. I wasn't there when the raid took place. A raid of a popular president, a former president. She opened the drawers and it was not that way. They were a mess. It was all over the place.
Now, it's a funny story he's telling, but it's not really funny. And I don't know if you heard earlier this week, but I want to recap it. If you listen to my daily show, you are well aware of this. But sometimes my Saturday listeners don't check out the podcast, which I don't understand. You can get it free. So just look for the Alan Sanders Show. We had one of the biggest bombshells yet breaking earlier this week. In the ongoing saga of government weaponization against Donald Trump, and basically, by extension, anyone who supports him, we had a massive document release from Senator Chuck Grassley. It was on December 16th. Grassley, who's the longtime champion of transparency in the Senate Judiciary Committee, dropped a stack of declassified internal emails from the FBI and the Department of Justice that should make everybody's blood, especially if you're a true American, it should make your blood boil. I'm not giving you opinion on that. I'm not giving you spin. I'm going to give you the FBI's own words from back in the summer of 2022, in the weeks that were leading up to that infamous raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home that you heard him reference there last night in North Carolina. In fact, let me read you the key part straight from the documents, which, by the way, you can go find if you want as well. An official from the FBI's Washington field office wrote the following. WFO, Washington field office, Washington, D.C., okay? A bunch of it's 90% Democrat. WFO does not believe, and has articulated to DOJ, does not believe that we have established probable cause for the search warrant for classified records at Mar-a-Lago. Let me read that again. The Washington field office, and they articulated this to the Department of Justice, said, we do not believe that we have established probable cause for a search warrant for classified records at Mar-a-Lago. The FBI itself repeatedly told the Biden Justice Department that they did not have probable cause to execute a search warrant. No new facts, no corroborated witnesses, nothing to justify storming the home of a former president. And now, of course, President 47. What happened? How did it happen? Well, the Biden DOJ under Merrick Garland, who personally signed off on the raid, by the way, and pushed by prosecutors tied to Jack Smith's team, overrode the FBI's objections. They pressured the Bureau to go along anyway. One Department of Justice official even brushed off concerns, saying, quote, he didn't give a damn about the optics. Optics? This wasn't about optics, folks. This was about raiding the home of their chief political opponent, rifling through Melania's closets, Barron's room, and the president's private office, all based on memos without sufficient legal grounds. That's according to the FBI's own assessment. And those emails that were released earlier this week span from June to just days before the August 8th, 2022 raid. The FBI warned that the information was single-sourced, uncorroborated, and possibly outdated. They even suggested less intrusive options like having a direct conversation with attorneys to recover any documents voluntarily, which, by the way, Trump's team had already been cooperating on. We had all of this reporting 2 years ago. You in this audience who are longtime listeners know that. We talked about that. While all the conspiracy, let's take it back. While all of the people out there calling me a conspiracy theorist were like, oh my God, you're going to defend him. He stole documents. He was selling nuclear secrets. He had the submarine locations. He blah, 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 blah. And we were like, no. We reminded you that the FBI came out and said, hey, can we take a look at where you've stored your presidential records? And he's like, come on down here. Told his team, his staff, work with these guys, help them out, get them whatever they need. You want some lunch? Best lunch ever. Mar-a-Lago, best. You got the best food ever. Remember what they said? Hey, could you add maybe an extra lock to the door? We just want to make sure that nobody can accidentally stumble into the records that you've kept. Remember, we talked about this. All of the work, the cooperation that the president and his team at Mar-a-Lago gave to FBI agents. And so the FBI was saying, why not just continue to work with him? Why not just cooperate? After all, the team's already been cooperating. I've got a little bit more here, but we've got a phone call coming in, so we're going to go to the phone lines and we're going to say, good morning. Welcome to Waking Up with Alan, if I can figure out where I am. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Confused Alan. It's Jerry.
Hello, Jerry. What's going on, buddy?
Well, you were just listing all of Trump's alleged crimes. You forgot eating babies.
I missed that one. I don't know. Sorry.
You also forgot when he was 8 years old, he stole a nickel from Lucy's psychiatrist booth.
Well, in all seriousness, do you remember when this broke in 2022 and all of the people out there saying, see, he stole this, he's trying to sell these secrets, he's a bad person, and people like me and people who are paying attention to the actual facts were like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And then you found out that the FBI brought those classified sheets that they printed ahead of time, and they laid all those documents on the floor and took a picture. Those classified sheets did not match what was actually in those folders just to make it look bad, and then they leaked it to the New York Times. We're finding out, Jerry, that this was all a weaponized operation to try to smear Donald Trump.
And the funny thing is, well, I mean, we knew that, right?
Well, you say but a big portion of the country didn't believe it.
It's exactly where I was going with my comment. So last night, one of the guys who works for me and we were having a conversation, and I said, pretty good inflation number. And his response was straight out of Occupy Democrats. Oh, yeah, well, they just left out a whole bunch of numbers. They left out a whole bunch of numbers. What proof do you have for that? Because I saw extreme liberal economists who didn't say anything about numbers being left out. So nobody's ever going to win.
Well, on the inflation piece, what I heard, too, as well, including a Harvard economist that CNN brought on to try to be there to be ready to smear Trump, had to admit these are much better numbers than anyone saw coming. In fact, there's no way to spin it any other way than these are good numbers.
Agreed. And I think what the talking points, and this is a very smart guy, by the way, Alan, he's just consumed by hatred. I mean, I think as most of them are.
Oh yeah, no. There literally is something to Trump derangement syndrome, or any kind of derangement. It can your logic and reason centers get shut off.
Dude, there are times when I have Alan derangement syndrome. So
okay.
Anyway, I think what he was talking about was that the October numbers weren't even done because the government was shut down by
Democrats.
Thank you.
Yep, for 43 days, a brand new record.
Yeah, well, being the extreme libertarian that I am, I was good with that.
You know what? I was the same. I'm when I actually remember about 7 or 8 months back, we were doing a show, and I was like, you know what? We need to cull the federal workforce in D.C. by at least half, if not more. I had somebody call up and go, do you know how many people that would put on unemployment? I'm like, hey, if they've got great skills, if these are these wonderful people, they should be able to find a job in the private sector. What are we doing just soaking the public sector with these useless bureaucrats? Get them out of there.
What did Biden tell people who lost their jobs? Go learn to code.
Go learn to code, exactly. You're a welder, you're working on the XL Keystone Pipeline, you should be learning how to code.
Yeah, learn to code.
The fact of the matter is, Jared, I think we're both saying the same thing. You from a libertarian perspective, and I call it more of a constitutional. Our federal government got too big, too bloated, and now we're seeing when you're that big and that bloated, look at all the corruption, look at all the fraud, look at all the way you can hide and scam money, and look how many billions, if not trillions, have been lost in that bloat.
So I guess the number came out that 270,000 federal quote-unquote workers have been let go. 270,000. That's
so far
a serious number.
It's a good start.
Yeah. What do you call 10,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean?
Right. It's a good start. Right. I mean, I think, I for real, I think outside of the military, outside of the enforcement agencies like ICE and Border Patrol, we have had far too many bureaucrats. We have seen agencies just add employees simply to justify their own existence, where we've seen too many reports, thanks to DOJ, of just all of the fraud, waste, and abuse cooked into these bloated budgets by these agencies that didn't need the personnel they have, taking on roles like USAID, sending money, billions all over the place, but not taking care of Americans. So, I don't have any sympathy for these people. Go out and get a job in the private sector.
Couldn't agree more. And even if the number of 270 were to be a bit inflated, let's say it's only 200, also a good start.
It's a good start. I will be happy when I see another 300,000 removed and we get to the lowest operating levels. Remember, Bill Clinton ran on this in 1993, that our government was too big and bloated, and we could, with all of our computers and technology and the dot-com era booming, we could be much more efficient with less people. Remember when he ran on that?
I do. I absolutely remember that, and that whole thing turned into Monica Lewinsky.
Jerry, I am late for a break, but hey, feel free to call back anytime, although this is my last show of the season. So if I don't talk to you, at least on the air, between now and next year, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Alan.
Thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we have to take a break, and then I will finish up my thoughts on the Mar-a-Lago raid when we come back.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go.
Welcome back, everyone. Waking Up with Alan here. Just a few minutes left until the top of the hour. Picking up where we left off, Senator Chuck Grassley did not mince words this past week. He called this a miscarriage of justice. He posted the documents for all to see. And now, with FBI Director Kash Patel and Attorney General Pam Bondi in place, these records have been turned over to Congress. And the people involved at the top is Merrick Garland. Let's not forget the Attorney General, the lead law enforcement officer of Biden's era. He approved the warrant, despite the FBI's doubts. Prosecutors in the Department of Justice's Counterintelligence and Export Control Section, along with Jack Smith's team, who pushed for the broadest possible scope. They were like, well, we're not sure what we're looking for, so we want an open search warrant for anything and everything we find. Residences, offices, storage facilities. They overrode the agents on the ground. And let's not forget the coordination hints with the Biden White House and the National Archives that we talked about incessantly as a result of that raid. Folks, this wasn't law enforcement. What we had was political persecution. The raid was the spark that actually supercharged the Trump 2024 campaign. Look, it led to indictments, which were all ultimately dismissed, but it exposed the depth to which the deep state would go to target Trump and silence his supporters. And the last laugh is going to be with Trump, because the Trump administration has made it crystal clear. They're coming for those who weaponize the government. This is not revenge. It's a reckoning. I've said this before. A reckoning is justified. It is altruistic. You've seen evil doing. You've seen wrongdoing. The wrongdoers need to be punished. That's the reckoning. President Trump promised to end the abuse and to restore the integrity of the DOJ and hold accountable the officials who turned federal agencies into weapons against their political enemies. When you have folks like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel who are going to actually, and I say it, hopefully in 2026, do a lot, understand what you're seeing is justice. It's accountability for those who ignored the law with the sole notion of get Trump. And if you're one of the millions who felt targeted just for supporting him, through lawfare, censorship, intimidation. Know this, the tide has in fact turned. The American people spoke in November, and the cleanup has just begun. It's underway and will continue for the next few years. So stay vigilant. That sewer, there's indications that they're finally finding ways to start draining that very cesspool. All right, that's going to wrap up hour one. Don't forget, we're going to have Valerie Holt at the bottom of next hour. Food Talk, third Saturday. It's 8 o'clock, top of the hour, WBHF Cartersville. Here's Fox News.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple tries to stop.
Good morning. Welcome. Hour two of Waking Up with Alan here. Oh, gosh, beautiful outside right now. Crisp blue skies, just a little lazy, very thin laced clouds here and there. Lots of bright sunshine. It's crisp and cold as well. But the frost on the rooftops starting to evaporate now that the sunlight is hitting those black shingles and warming them up enough to cause that frost to start to dissipate. It's about 28 degrees outside the studios. We're getting the official read of 33 at the airport. Those of you listening on the podcast, I know that's irrelevant, but we're also live radio as I speak. So thank you for being out there. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for coming on back. Just a reminder, in about 15 minutes, we're going to be talking Christmas cakes. We're going to talk food. We're going to have a Food Talk third Saturday, since there won't be a fourth Saturday this month, because we're closing up after today. So the last show of 2025. Look, I knew this is what would happen or has been going on in the halls of D.C. for a while. Whoop, no, didn't realize I had that still playing. Wrong slider. I know. Back, I think I finally started to realize what a game the public display of politics was back in the mid-'90s. Bill Clinton's second term, Newt Gingrich, Speaker of the House, and learned that the two of the Speaker and the President at the time would get into the same room, would get into the Oval Office or whatever, and they would say, okay, we know we need to do this. We both agree that this has to happen, whatever this is. And then Bill Clinton would say, now, once I go out there, I'm going to have to say how terrible person and blah, blah, blah. And Newt Gingrich would say, yeah, I know, I'm going to have to do the same thing. But at least behind the scenes, we know what we're both agreeing to. And I get it. We got to play to our base. So I have long understood that what politicians say in front of the camera is more often than not a performance. It's not necessarily true. But it was always that wink and a nod of like, well, I have to make it look like I'm working with the incompetent other half, or while they may not be as righteous as we are, we've found some common ground. There was always at least a little bit of statesman-like attitude. Not anymore. Now it's turned into full-on professional wrestling. And Marco Rubio actually addressed this in light of all of those confidential behind-the-scenes briefings they've been giving people in Congress about the narco-terrorist boat strikes, about taking out these speedboats filled with drugs. It's a reminder that what you see in front of you on screens and TV is all performative. Here's Marco Rubio.
Okay, so I was part of this thing in the past as well. But you do this briefing, you answer all their questions, and then they go out and tell people, we heard nothing, we saw nothing, that we were pleased with. They already had their answer before they went in, but we do them anyways. And we continue to do them. Not to mention the individual calls I've had with leaders in Congress, and I'm not going to disclose what those are. So everybody over there does know what we're doing, they know why we're doing it, and we've kept Congress fully apprised, and we'll continue to do so. Yeah.
The net of that is, those folks who come out, the Democrats who come out and say things like, these are poor fishermen, these are sailors being just murdered by the president. That's not true, and they know it's not true. Those Democrats sit in the briefing, They ask their questions, they get answers, and then they walk out and tell the public, as you heard Marco say, that they didn't know, they didn't hear anything new, they don't know what the president's doing, and they don't think he knows what's going on. Total dishonesty. Total fakery. Total fiction. Marco Rubio just there exposing it, that these folks come in, they already have a narrative, they already have the storyline set in their minds ahead of time, what they're going to go tell people. They walk in, they get the briefing. To them, it's just a formality because they know exactly what they're going to say, regardless of what they learned in that briefing, regardless of truth. Truth bears no, it doesn't make a difference to them what the truth is. It's the perception that they want to sell. It's what they want you to believe is true, not the actual truth. You heard him. I've spoken with leaders in Congress. Everyone knows exactly what is happening and why. Congress has been fully informed. The strikes are justified, but Democrats are lying on purpose. Understand that. Look, there's a reason I wanted to go into the Mar-a-Lago raid documents in the last hour, because I know listeners to this show, followers of mine, were telling me I was full of crap when I kept telling you the Mar-a-Lago raid was unjustified, that the Mar-a-Lago raid was about planting evidence, that the Mar-a-Lago raid was about smearing a political opponent. And you're all like, oh my God, could you at least, how would you, the FBI, you think the FBI is just going to go raid unless they have a reason? You think they're going to do it if they don't have justification? Come on. And then here I am, 3 years later, all the documents declassified, saying exactly what I was telling you 3 years ago. And the reason I know what's going on is because I learned in the mid-90s, you don't listen to what the politicians are saying on camera. You can't listen to what they're telling you on camera. And now that we have social media, you certainly can't trust their social media. I've been telling my Daily Show audience about the triple F. That the current state, now I do hope we get back to a strong Democrat Party at some point. We can't have one party rule. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You can't. We should have multiple factions. We should have multiple ideologies, because in the crucible of debate, the best ideas should come forward. But we don't have debate anymore. We have propaganda, we have spin, and we have smear. That's it. We're not literally debating ideas. We're calling people names. We're sowing seeds of division. We're trying to figure out how to stoke hatred and vitriol. We're not discussing ideas. We have to get back to a point where you have two strong, patriotic parties who will battle in the crucible of ideas to try to figure out what's the best plan, and recognize that it doesn't matter who gets credit. If it's good for America, we should be doing it. If it's bad for America, we shouldn't. And I know I know I'm being idealistic. I get it. Human beings are human beings. Human beings are flawed. And unfortunately, some of the worst vices of humanity get drawn to positions in public office because they're going to get access to both power and money. And those are two things that absolutely are corruptible influences on people. Access to money and power can be a corrosive influence on people. And if you don't have a strong ethic, if you don't have strong moral fiber, if you don't have some inner core that you can cling to, some sense of spirituality, money and power will corrupt you. And we see it. We've heard that phrase through our entire lives. All power corrupts, or power corrupts, and all power corrupts, or absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's a truism that we've had since the beginning of time. What I want to see is a strong Democrat Party again. The Democrat Party that cares about Americans, about American workforce, about the lives of families, not keeping people down, not keeping them under their thumb, not keeping them repressed, not keeping them as basically beholden to their elected leadership. If you're beholden to somebody, what do you think that means? If you had to go open the thesaurus, if you are beholden, if you can't think autonomously, if you're not allowed to act on your own, you have to do as you're told. Well, what is that? What other words would be synonymous with a lifestyle that you're not free to think for yourself? You're not free to do for yourself. You're not free to engage in conversation for yourself. What other words could you put around that if you are beholden to, if you are expected to bend the knee and do exactly as you're told? Certainly freedom isn't in there. Liberty's not in there. What are the other words that you would use if you're not free? What are you? Imprisoned? Held against your will? Detained? Are you enslaved? You have to ask yourself, a party that demands absolute 100% allegiance, and you're not allowed to ask questions, you're not allowed to think for yourself, you're not allowed to get yourself in a better position, you have to do as you're told. You have to ask yourself, what are the motivations of that party? Is it really America first? Is it really putting the citizenry first? Or is it designed to keep a group or at least enough people down with the promise of vote for me and you'll get more free stuff. Vote for me and you'll get your benefits. Vote for me and you can continue to live off the public dole. Did you just create a permanent underclass of citizens that have no choice because they're not allowed to get out from underneath your thumb? They're not allowed to get out from underneath the boot heel? Something to ponder, because I do want a strong second party. I do think we need because we want to make sure that any ideas coming out of one party can be challenged by the other, because you want to challenge the ideas. Unfortunately, we have a morally bankrupt, vacant second party in the Democrats who have decided the triple F is all they have. Fakery, fiction, fear porn. That's it. The fakery is what they do. The fiction is what they say. The fear porn is what they hope to impart on you to make you so concerned, so worried that you won't be able to think for yourself, that the fear will allow you to be controlled. And when you're being controlled by somebody, you are not free. You are not living in a free society. All right, we're going to shift gears after the bottom of the hour. We've got statewide headlines coming your way from the Georgia News Network. And then we're going to shift over to some food talk. Get ready for Christmas and Christmas cakes. Good morning, everybody. A little nut rocker, not nutcracker, but that's from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And we are shifting gears. We're going to move into our food talk segment, and I'm so happy Valerie was flexible enough, because we are not doing a show next week. This is the last show of 2025. So instead of the fourth Saturday, we're moving it up. We're doing a food talk third Saturday. Good morning.
Good morning. It's like a whole new world in here, Alan, on the third Saturday instead of the fourth.
And let me say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Alan.
I am so excited. We're doing my family's Thanksgiving/Christmas feast tomorrow and gift exchange. So my mom, my brothers, I'll be doing all the cooking. I made my brine yesterday. It's cooled. I'll be brining the turkey tonight into tomorrow, where I'll put on the smoker. Stuff that we've been talking about before. But one of the things that I don't do, and you know I don't do this, is while I cook, I'm not a baker.
And I'm not a griller or a smoker, so that's why we're a duo, Alan.
We're the dynamic duo.
That's right. We complete each other's cooking puzzle right there. So
you said, and I saw you put it on social media, which I think is interesting, is the idea of cakes at Christmas time.
You know, I was just thinking about how everybody goes, it seems like everybody goes, in the South anyway, you go to your family Christmas gathering every year, and everybody looks for Aunt so-and-so's chocolate cake or Grandma's coconut cake or this. You know, I have an aunt, she always made Mississippi mud cake, which is this really just, decadent chocolate cake deal. And I lived to see her walking through the door, with that cake. And so anyway, I just heard people say as we got into December, like, oh, I can't wait to see so-and-so, and I thought, okay, what is everybody's thing? Like, what do we do? So do you have a favorite cake at your family's gathering, or does somebody else
It's crazy.
do one?
And I didn't realize this until many years ago when we were talking about desserts. I am not a huge cake person. I don't have a favorite cake. If I had to pick one, I like a plain vanilla cake with like vanilla or maybe even a buttercream icing. I'm not a big cake. I love pies though. So I'm always looking for someone's pie. So as far as cake, I'll eat it if it's there, but I don't have a special cake.
And I've never seen this personality quiz, Alan. I don't know if I'm a cake person or a pie person, but if I had to pick, I think I'm more cake person. And I'm like you. And this sounds so boring. This sounds so boring for a food person to go, I like vanilla. If there's a good vanilla white cake, white frosting, at this point in my life, I guess when I was a kid, I was at the chocolate, but now I love a good vanilla cake. And believe you me, when I tell you, it is so hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to do where it's not dry. If you find somebody that can do a good vanilla cake, they're talented. They're really talented.
It's my favorite. If I'm going to pick a cake, and to me, that's not boring. I love the flavor of vanilla. It's outside of mint chocolate chip, which is my go-to ice cream. Give me a French vanilla. Give me a creamy, rich, deep vanilla. Give me vanilla bean. We've actually just made some homemade candles and actually put vanilla. Literally, not only do we put vanilla scent, but we actually put actual bits of vanilla in the candle as part of the decoration. I love vanilla.
You know what? I saw this movie one time. As a matter of fact, I've seen it many, many times, and I cannot think of the name of it right now. But anyway, and that's terrible that I've seen it that many times, can't think of it. But anyway, it says it's about a restaurant and rebuilding a restaurant that died in a fire and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, the person who's interviewing the chefs, their interview is to make an omelet. That's it. And she says, if you can make an omelet, a good omelet, then I know you can do everything else. That's how I feel about vanilla cake. And it sounds so plain, but it's kind of like that movie. If you can do an omelet, if you can do a vanilla cake, you can do pretty much everything else if you can do it well.
Now, on the flip side, one of the things that I saw you put on Facebook, you're talking about like these specific cakes. Do you, in your history, or do you think there are cakes that are more conducive to Christmas?
Yes. And that's what I was going to say. And a couple of people that answered, and I know a lot of people have told me this in person, there's something about a coconut cake in the South and Christmas. And I was even talking to my husband about this week. I said, okay, we can buy coconut 7 days a week in the grocery store.
Yep.
And you could when I was a kid. And I'm old. So, and I'm thinking, what is it about coconut cake? And I kind of wonder if further back, Depression era, maybe even before that, if coconut was hard to get, if it was expensive, if when coconut came out in bags, cans, was that considered a novelty? Was it considered something new? Why is like, ooh, we're going to have a coconut cake for Christmas? And I'm like, you know what? We can have a coconut cake 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. It's just not something that's hard to do or hard to get. And I don't have the answer to this question. This is a rhetorical question, but why is it like it's not Christmas without a coconut cake? I don't know.
And I got to be honest, I do. If you're going to have coconut, I do like coconut in the cake. Maybe there's something about being exotic. It's not something that we do eat every day. At least I don't.
You know what? I'm going to a party tonight. I got a coconut cake in the refrigerator right now. I made it last night. So, but it's the coconut cream where you have to pour the cream of coconut over it and Eagle brand milk. And ladies out there who cook, y'all know what I'm talking about. You mix it up, you pour it over it. It's got to sit 24 hours. Then you put whipped cream and coconut on it. It's like a chilled, cold kind of thing. And I will say this, Lori Cyphers, I think it was Lori. Yeah, Lori Cyphers, she commented on my post this week, and then another lady, both talking about coconut cake. But anyway, one of these ladies said that their grandmother made 7-minute frosting. Do you know what 7-minute frosting is?
No.
Okay. All of the older ladies out there listening, and I know all the grandmothers listening, y'all know what this is. But anyway, do you know what divinity is? You know what that white divinity candy that you make at Christmas is? Have you had that? It's kind of like a white fudge.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I think I've had it.
Well, anyway, 7-minute frosting is halfway to divinity. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. You have to boil sugar and water, Karo syrup. All this. You have to make a hot syrup. You have to beat it into egg whites while you're beating them. All this kind of stuff. It's just really white, fluffy, cloud-like frosting. And the trick is you have to eat it that day. So I think a lot of grandmothers made this coconut cake with 7-minute frosting. It was so hard. It's so temperamental. If you don't get it right, it's gritty. I think it's like, okay, it's Christmas. I'm making this cake one time, and that's it. So I think the coconut cake with 7-minute frosting, it's because it was so difficult. And and even today, that's very hard to do.
You know, to get ready for today, because I know it's like anything else that we've talked about on the show. Whatever you love, is there really a wrong answer? But I looked up some of the things like, well, what would be the cakes typical for this time of year? Like, what are the, quote, Christmas cakes? And one of the things that, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but I've never had one, a gingerbread cake or a ginger cake. I
think gingerbread, yeah. I mean, I think gingerbread and ginger cake, that's probably the same thing. I think it's because it's got those warm spices in it, like Christmas.
Yeah.
And I think gingerbread. And then the next one I was going to say red velvet. For obvious reasons. It's red. It looks Christmassy. Mm-hmm. You know, I've made a lot of those for people. Now that I know more about red food coloring, kind of not a fan. I loved it as a kid, but now that I know more.
Right.
About red food coloring, kind of really don't want to go down that road. But, you know, it is a Christmas favorite. And people like, and I think if you eat it once a year and that's the only time you eat it and you eat one slice, it's probably
well, and
okay.
I was thinking about this with I just was watching a thing on the TV. They were doing like a Christmas cocktails. I didn't even know that's what they were talking about. But when they poured what looked like a white drink and added a stick with 3 red cranberries, the red, bright red against the white, I immediately thought Christmas.
Yeah, everything red. I mean, we think Christmas. And also, you can Google this online. It's called a cranberry Christmas cake, and it's fresh cranberries, butter, flour, sugar, eggs, vanilla. I mean, it's very plain. And when you look at that, you're going to be like, really? This is what she told us about? Y'all, it is so good, and it's called a cranberry Christmas cake, and it's just fresh cranberries in cake batter from scratch, but I've made that the last 2 or 3 Christmases. So good. Really, if you're a cranberry nut like I am, it's really, really good. Fruit cake. Okay, we have to talk about the dreaded.
You know, you
fruit
say
cake.
That. So here's the crazy thing. My whole life, up until about like 12 years ago, fruitcake was the joke in movies, in television shows, even cartoons. I grew up with with Bugs Bunny and stuff. Like the fruitcake weighed like 70 pounds. You could bang.
Doorstop.
Yeah. And then I had an actual slice of fruitcake, and it was delicious.
You know what? They're all different, and you have to have the right one. There is a company, and I don't work for these people. I'm not sponsored, but there is a company in North Carolina, and it's called Southern Supreme Fruitcake. And it's different. Just trust me on this. We don't have time to go down that road, but it's really, really different. It doesn't have the green and red cherries in it, which I don't like. That stuff, oh my gosh. I could eat just a half a pound. I mean, sitting here right now, it's so good. Now, regular fruit cake, you just kind of buy at the grocery store. I don't like that at all.
The one I had was made fresh at Egan's Bakery. I'll give them a free plug. They're not an advertiser, but they're a baker. They're a small business here in town. And it had fruit and nuts and spices. And it was almost like I was eating something that I imagined I'd be camping or something, like real hearty and rich. Yeah. But it was so good.
Their pound cakes fruit cakes are works of art. Just the pecans they've got on the top. I've never had one, but oh my gosh, they look like a picture. They really do.
It's amazing.
I think it was Johnny Carson that used to say there's really only one fruit cake and everybody just passes it around. And it just goes, and that's my mother's favorite cake. And actually, fruit cake, here's trivia. It's time for Cake Jeopardy, Alan.
Okay.
So fruitcake's been around since the Middle Ages. What was it originally? What was the cake's purpose originally?
Oh, I don't know.
Wedding cake. It was a wedding cake because it was fruit and it was meant to symbolize prosperity and the couple having a family and being fruitful and multiplying and all that. It was a wedding cake.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so it symbolized prosperity.
Now, I don't know when they started doing this, but I also know that I've had fruit cake that has been soaked in rum or brandy.
Yeah, most people do, yeah. Yeah,
maybe that's the reason I like it as well, because I am a big fan of adult beverage. So
you know what? I used to work with a lady. Actually, she was the librarian at my school a long, long time ago, and she started a month ahead, and she would wrap the fruitcake in cheesecloth and soak the cheesecloth in brandy, and like once a week go in there and just pour it on and just soak it. And so it soaked for a month in this brandy laced cheesecloth. Alan's having a moment here, y'all.
I want that. I want the whole cake.
And her husband was a minister, and this was like 30 years ago that she and I worked together. But yeah, but she's like, hey, and every year she would say, I worked with her for 10 years, and every year, like a month before Christmas, she'd be like, I got to wrap that fruitcake. I got to start pouring the brandy on it every week. And hey,
Oh my gosh, so good.
So there you go.
And I would tell you, it'll keep it moist.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
Okay, what about like Yule log? I don't know what even Yule log is, but I always hear about that.
A bûche de Noël. That's like the French name for it.
Bûche de Noël.
Yeah, it looks like a tree log. I mean, literally, it's like the chocolate. You make it. It's like you roll it up. It's got whipped cream in the middle. You take a pastry comb and you brush it to make it look. It looks like a tree log. I don't know. It's a European thing. I don't know. It's a French thing, but for some reason, it's like we have Yule logs on a fire.
Right.
And so this is a chocolate cake. It's a giant Swiss roll. It's a giant little Debbie Swiss roll.
I would probably like it then.
Well, if you like chocolate cake with whipped cream in the middle, you would. That's what it is.
See, here's the thing. I'm not a fan. Let me take it back. I don't mind the taste of chocolate. I don't like, oh my God, I got to have chocolate. Like, I don't feel like that compulsion. But if it's a combination of flavors and if it's really tasty and moist, I'd probably enjoy a slice.
I think you would. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You've got to make it's a jelly roll. You got to make a really thin layer of chocolate cake in a jelly roll pan. You have to roll it up in a towel while it's hot. You got to let it cool. Then you got to unroll it, put whipped cream in it, hope that it doesn't crack, roll it up again, and frost it. I mean, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so the Yule log.
It's called a Yule log or a bûche de Noël, what the French people call it, or whatever. So, but yeah, that's another French cake.
We're halfway through. We got to take a short time out. We've got Valerie Holt in here as we are winding down 2025, the last show of the year and last show before Christmas. And we're talking Christmas cakes and cakes around this time of year. And who knows what else we'll chat about as we wrap up, but we'll have more fun when we come back. Okay, everybody, here we go.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Now bring us a figgy pudding. Now figgy pudding. No, figgy pudding.
Welcome back, everybody. Little Muppets. We wish you a Merry Christmas. And I thought we were talking about food. And in that song, We Wish You a Merry Christmas, they always ask for the figgy pudding. And, well, I don't even know what figgy pudding is. And I know that we're talking cakes, but Valerie, what is figgy pudding?
You got me. That would be Christmas desserts for $200, and I do not know the answer, Alan. I lost my $200 bucks. I do not know.
Well, one of the things I was going to ask about is also, which I love, eggnog. This is that time of year when I first see it in the store. The minute I see it, I buy one. Usually it lasts about 3 or 4 weeks because I'm the only one who likes it for some reason. Then I'll get another one. Usually I can go through 2 or 3 before the holiday season is done, and then we don't see eggnog again. I hear there's a thing called an eggnog cake.
I've made an eggnog pound cake. We have a friend who shall remain nameless because I don't have his permission to say this on the air, but he loves eggnog. My husband loves eggnog. I bought him his second container of eggnog this week. I don't drink it like that. He's the only one that drinks it, so I just get the little pint thing. But yeah, I made an eggnog pound cake for a friend a few years ago. So if you have a pound cake recipe that calls for a cup of whipping cream or a cup of milk, and there's a zillion of them out there, just substitute that for a cup of eggnog. Yeah, I made it it works, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'll tell you what I love doing is I will make French toast with eggnog rather than milk.
That makes perfect sense to me. Perfect
so
sense.
good.
I know. It's just sweet and cream, sweet and eggy cream.
And of course, now that I'm an adult, I will add a nice little shot of either bourbon or some of the whiskey. And it's Christmas to me. Like I'm sitting by the fire, I'm enjoying this rich, thick cup of eggnog with just this undertone of either brandy or bourbon.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas.
And you know what? If you're going to make that eggnog pound cake, you could put a couple of tablespoons of brandy or bourbon or whatever in that. Put a little nutmeg in it too.
Oh,
and
nutmeg.
Yeah, it would taste just like.
In fact, I'll pour
like eggnog.
The eggnog and I'll sprinkle some actual nutmeg on top of the eggnog to add a little extra flavor.
Yeah, I would definitely put that in the pound cake. It's been so many years since I made that one, but it was very good. I do remember that. So I forgot to ask Alan in that first segment if he had heard of hummingbird cake, and that is the #1 cake recipe on southernliving.com of all time. It's the most searched recipe on their website, and that's saying a lot because they're my favorite food website. But yeah, so a hummingbird cake, if you haven't had it, has bananas, pineapples, pecans, and a cream cheese frosting. I told Alan it's basically like banana bread, but with pineapples in it, and you put a cream cheese frosting on it. So if you like banana bread, if you like pineapples, you would love it.
I'm a big fan of banana bread.
Yeah,
I convince myself it's healthy for me.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's got bananas in it.
I know. Italian cream cake. That's right on up there in the top 5, and it's. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. I'll just leave you to Google that. But again, it's got a cream cheese frosting. It's got pecans. To me, it's very similar. It's very similar to a hummingbird cake. I think it probably is like a hummingbird cake, but without the bananas. But anyway, also candy making. Excuse me. Candy making. Al and I were talking about that on the break. I'm not a candy maker because it's very temperamental. And I have probably right now 3 candy thermometers in my utensil drawer at home, and none of them help, really. So
they don't help.
They do not help. I mean, 235 is probably not really 235. 235 is what's called softball stage, 235 to 245. That's what you do for fudge. And then like a hard crack is 310. That's peanut brittle, stuff like that. But, I'm convinced that my thermometers all lie to me. So, I don't know. No, it's the driver, not the vehicle in that case. But anyway, there are some candies that are really easy to do. Have you had Martha Washington candy?
No. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, Martha Washington candy, and everybody can Google this. There's, let's see, the one I made this week. I made a little candy tray this week. There's a website called Mom on Timeout. And I made the Martha Washington candy from that. It's just melted butter, confectioner's sugar, cherries, pecans, rolled up and dipped in chocolate. Very easy to make.
The funny thing is, I was going to make a snarky crack about it. It's got cherries in it, chopped out of the cherry tree.
Yep.
And it does.
Yeah, I mean, and this is old, y'all. I mean, people were making Martha Washington candy when I was a kid, so it's been around a long time, and it's super good. I have not had it since I was a kid, and I made it for a tray this week. Oh, my word. It's really good. There's something called toffee saltine bark. Have you had that? Where if you take the saltines and you make up caramel and pour it on it? So easy, y'all. I mean, you can
like a saltine cracker?
Yep. You line a jelly roll pan with saltine crackers. You mix up butter and brown sugar. Let it boil 3 minutes. Pour it over it. You bake it for 5 minutes in the oven. You put chocolate chips on it and let it melt and spread it out. That's it. I mean, you can make it from beginning to end. 15 minutes is a stretch. I mean, it's really, and people go nuts for that stuff. I made some this week and took it to my husband's office, and he said they were actually talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, I hope somebody makes that toffee saltine bark and brings it in here. So, but
I'm going to have to give that a try. That sounds like I don't bake, but that sounds like something I could do.
Well, and see, and that's what I'm telling you. The ones here, like, they don't require any candy thermometers. Buckeyes, which are like the peanut butter balls that you dip in chocolate, that requires no thermometer, no nothing, no bake. Yeah.
It's like you're making your own Reese's peanut butter balls.
I was going to say, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup reconstructed. It's Buckeyes.
I could get behind that. That is my favorite. If I'm going to have a Halloween candy, I do like the Reese's peanut butter cup.
Well, and this week I made something called, and this is the same thing, just reconstructed, lunchroom lady peanut butter bars. And Tina Jennings was so nice to taste test that for me, but that's another one you don't have to have candy thermometer for.
Okay.
And then I know we're running out of time, but everybody has had the marshmallow cream fudge. It's on the back of the marshmallow cream jar at the grocery store. No candy thermometer required. And for people like me who are not really candy makers, that's an easy one. It pretty much turns out right every time. It's kind of foolproof.
Pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
One of the things I haven't done in a while, but I don't know why I haven't, because it was really easy. But I don't think you would call it a candy, but I don't know what you would call it. But you know how you make Rice Krispie treats with Rice Krispie and marshmallows? We would actually do it with cornflakes, and then put some green food coloring and make what looks like a wreath,
the Christmas wreaths,
and then put like Red Hots. And that was something that we used to do all the time when I was growing up, and haven't done it in a while.
That's so good. Yeah, and you can just make it. I mean, you don't have to put the green food color, and people just call it cornflake candy. And you can make that any time of the year. And I had another one. Oh, Rice Krispie treats. Try putting Milky Ways in that. Try dropping a couple of Milky Way candy bars in your pot when you're melting all the marshmallow. Oh, my goodness.
Good stuff.
Good. So good.
You know what? You're getting me all in the mood for feasting and treats and all the things that I normally don't do throughout the year, but I always give myself the out during the holidays.
That's right.
Valerie, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Alan.
And Merry Christmas, everybody out there. We've got one more hour of the show to go, so stick around. We are done with hour 2, so we're at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock, WBHF, Cartersville, AM 1450, FM 100.3. Here's Fox News.
Build a fire and gather round the tree. Fill a glass and maybe come and sing with me. So kiss me under the mistletoe. Pour out the wine, let's toast and pray for December snow. I know there's been pain this year.
There we go. A little Ed Sheeran, Elton John, Merry Christmas. Great Christmas song. The two of them paired up singing their song. And I've loved that in the rotation, heavy rotation at the Sanders compound. It's been great. And hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. Great to have you here in this audience. You know, I had a couple more news items I thought I was going to get to, but I want to do something a little different instead. I just want to chat with you before we close off and head to the Vulcan Mind Meld. We've had an interesting 2025. Think about all the things we've talked about, everything we've been through in this last year. So as we dim the lights on 2025 and hopefully gather with family and friends over the holidays, it's time to take a breath. We can reflect on the journey we've shared, and hopefully we can look into 2026 with a sense of hope. But first, 2025. Talk about some profound changes. Talk about some bold action. We've had heartbreaking challenges. We've had inspiring triumphs that's tested our nation and hopefully reminded Americans, reminded us what we're made of. It really started with the historic inauguration of President Donald Trump for his second term. Non-consecutive, only the second president in history to have done that. And then from day one, his administration, hit the ground running. They had a flurry of executive orders ready to go. There's been over 200 at this point in time. Things just reinstating common sense, our immigration policies, declaring a national emergency at the border, withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement, and getting us out of the WHO, and then launching DOGE to start to streamline our government and find all that fraud, waste, and abuse. We've watched the tariff debate, which some people thought was going to destroy the country. We've watched it come and go, but the reality is it's been one of the best moves to start leveling the playing field for the negotiations that's bringing investment back to our country, building and investing in the U.S., which means U.S. jobs, which means GDP growth, which means you're no longer being dependent on which I've never understood, on China for so much of what we were doing. We've seen a huge shift. We want to see America first. American workers, American jobs. And yes, we want fair trade, but sometimes you've got to be the bull in the china shop to get people's attention and make them realize you're not going to be allowed to take advantage of us anymore. You're not going to be allowed to just, the U.S. can afford it. No. We have a president who's literally putting America first, but understands a strong America is good for the world. Obviously, during the course of this 2025, we saw immigration and the unprecedented look at enforcement. We had to pass the Lake and Riley Act because of all of the heinous crimes being committed by everyone the Biden regime let in for the last 4 years. And now we're on the opposite side. That pendulum has swung the other way to mass deportations. And now we've got ICE and ICE agents doing the jobs they should have been doing all along. On the home front, we have seen so much here in this country. We had natural disasters, those California wildfires, power outages. But we've seen Americans come together. We watched FEMA recognize that their job is literally emergency management, not Green New Deal and DEI wokeness. Our technology this year has been just off the chain. I've been watching and warning the audience, careful, AI is here, and it's not going anywhere, and it's going to get more and more pervasive. It's going to be part of anything and everything we do. You better start to learn how to use it as a tool, but not let it become your job. If you just sit back and say, I don't have to worry about my job anymore, I can just plug AI in to do a couple of things. Next thing you know, it does it for me. Well, don't let your boss find out, because you're going to find out you're going to be out of a job. Learn to use it, but don't let it use you. We watched SpaceX, private space enterprise, do things in the space program that we have never, ever seen before. Giant rocket boosters that come back, land, and park themselves on the very towers from which they launched. We've got more satellites flying around the earth, giving us internet communication. Elon Musk has even said the future of data centers won't be just on land. We're going to start seeing data centers in space, which makes sense. You've got ultimate cooling. You've got solar panels that can pull direct sunlight from our energy from the sun to run those centers. Globally, we saw, of course, conflicts persisting, but we also saw a president that brought an end to 8 different engagements and some of them 30-plus year wars. We've watched tensions in the Middle East come and go. We watched what happened with Gaza. And now we see for the first time a sense of peace in that area of the world. Diplomatic efforts, ceasefires, breakthroughs. All of that happening in 2025. But again, as we start to wind down, as we start to put an end to 2025 and look to 2026, I want to say that above everything, through all the debates we've had, the policy wins, the controversies, the divisions, it's this time of year that reminds me why I do this. To seek truth, to spark conversation, and to stand for the principles that exemplify what American exceptionalism really is. To inform, to engage, to entertain. But above everything, the headlines, the politics, the triumphs, I'm filled with profound gratitude. I am lucky to be able to do what I do. Thank you to all of you out there. Thank you, listeners, whether you listen every week or just now and then. Thank you for being the heart of this show. You've tuned in, you've called in, you've shared, we've conversed. We've had passions, we've had frustrations, we've had laughter. You help hold me accountable, and I try to do what I can to open you up to new ideas. We've walked alongside each other this whole year. And like any performer knows, without you, none of this really exists. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for your listenership, your loyalty, your trust in making this part of your, whether it's a weekly tradition or if you listen every day during the week. Thank you. So as we turn the page to 2026, and I know things are tough. Hey, I'm still battling a rotator cuff surgery. But I always carry a sense of optimism about what's ahead. Because if I have to pick between being optimistic and pessimistic, why choose misery? I'll choose happiness. I'll choose joy versus being angry and miserable. My sincerest wish for all of you, for your families, for your homes and homesteads, your communities, for our great nation, is for peace to settle deep in your soul and a happiness in the everyday moments that truly matter. To put the phone down for a little bit and recognize the real world right in front of you. And I wish for everyone to experience the prosperity to chase your dreams and to hopefully build a brighter future. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. And while some people may shy away, I will say, may God bless you, and may He continue to bless each and every one of you and the United States of America. All right, we're heading to the bottom of the hour. We're going to get you caught up on statewide headlines, courtesy of the Georgia News Network. And after the Georgia News Network headlines, we're going to come on back here, and we are going to dive into the Vulcan Mind Meld. It's a long-standing tradition where the two shows merge and become one, like those globs in the lava lamp coming together. As my show is slowly sinking and settling and winding down, you've got another one coming up, boiling up from the surface, going to hit the top, and we are just joining for a moment. We'll have BK on the air joining me here in the studios, and we'll lighten things up. We'll continue the Christmas talk, and we'll get ready for BK on the air from 10 to noon Saturdays right here on WBHF. It's 9:30, bottom of the hour. Let's get you caught up now on those statewide headlines. Good morning. Welcome back, everybody. Waking Up with Alan. We're on the backside of the third hour. 2 segments left, and traditionally now known as the Vulcan Mind Meld, 2 shows become one. And BK joining me here from BK on the air. BK, good morning. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, buddy. I see that we've both brought our gifts in here in the studio. We haven't opened them yet, but yeah, we got them there.
Once again, we don't ever consult ahead of time. We never have any show prep ahead of time. We both decided on a black and white theme this year.
The wrapping, yeah, I'm like, how did that happen? I'll tell you how mine happened. Mine happened with all my Christmas stuff is gone. I'm like, I need a Christmassy bag. I'm like, oh, I don't have one. And I had to improvise. You got a bag. I had to improvise with, the paper you're supposed to put in a bag, the kind of filler bag. Paper? Stacy had used all the Christmas paper, too. She's going to get more tomorrow because we've got another, few days to do it. So I had to improvise on what to stuff in the bag, too. So you'll see.
Shall we do as we traditionally do? Shall we open on air?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah, we can open on air. You go first. You need some help over there? One arm man from The Fugitive?
I'm one arm. I've got... Well, look at this. Looks like a cellophane wrapper from Target.
It's plastic bags instead of paper. I didn't have anything to plastic bag.
Oh, look at this.
See, I knew it wasn't Halloween's gone, but I knew how much you like that.
But you get much more in the Reese's peanut butter tree.
And if there's any way that something's better than the cups, those might be because they're bigger.
And see, I love the tradition continues because I'm all out of the coffee.
You always get the coffee man, and I try to get you a different brand every year, and I always make sure it's roasted dark as it can be.
Like my soul. You know what I love?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, my wife would, but okay.
This year,
I love this because you know what? I go in and out of my phases, and one of the things that I started going back to is my French press. Have you ever used a French press? I mean, you're not as much of a coffee drinker as I am, but have you ever seen they look like a little carafe with like a plunger down the middle? What you do is you pull that plunger all the way up, and you put your coffee actually in with the water, so the coffee is literally in the water.
Right.
And you let it sit there for like 10 minutes, boiling hot, and then as it's slowly cooling, those grounds are settling. But then when you push your plunger down, it's a filter, forces all the grounds to the bottom, and you're squeezing, as it hits the bottom, every drop of caffeine out of all of those grounds. And then when you go to pour it, there's no grounds in it because they're all being held underneath the little plunger. So,
why do they call it that? Did it start in France?
It's a French
and
press.
And do you have to speak French while you do it?
No,
does that help?
I can put on a very bad French accent.
I am pressing the coffee down to get the...
say, latrine! And then...
Caffeine! Caffeine!
That is awesome. So I've got some Seattle's Best Dark Roast.
Which I've never had. I've never had Seattle's Best.
But you know what? You're right. Anything dark roast, I love. You know what? It drives me bananas. I go to like a I'll go to any of our, let's say, mass merchant coffee suppliers.
Right.
And you got these kids, and it's a great job to have as your first job, learning how to clean and cook and serve people, whatever. But it's amazing. It's a coffee shop, and I say, can I just get a medium dark roast?
Coffee.
Just a medium dark roast. A what? Coffee.
You sell coffee, right?
What kind of coffee? Dark roast.
Yeah.
Well, do you want anything in that?
They don't get it.
No.
They don't get it.
You don't want like anything else in
Right.
it? I've watched kids like just look at me like I've ordered something that they don't even know that they serve.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
and
funny.
of course, some of these places serve so many varieties of the beverage. Like my kids walk in there, and I think they've ordered like a mission to Mars. Can I get a half cafe latte with 3 squirts of this and 7 of this and 18? And I'm like, what did you just order?
You're an astrophysicist astronaut ordering this.
And then I walk in, black coffee, please, dark.
What? And they wait for you to say more to add to it. Did you know there's a scene similar to that in The Sopranos where the old gangster guys go into a coffee shop, a newer one, and want to order a coffee, and they're looking at them like, what else do you want? They're like, I just want the coffee. That's all I want. It's just a plain coffee. What is this? Why can't I get the coffee? It's they're having the same problem. There's one more thing in the bag, too. I don't know if you want to take it out now, but you can either do it now or
it was stuck against the side.
But I tried to hide everything, but...
Waking up with Alan. You got a card.
It's a Christmas card.
I shall open this.
Yeah.
There you go. So now people
I think
can
it's
hear
kind of
it.
neat. Hey, you can open with one hand. That's pretty cool. All
right.
It's
a scene from the holiday favorite, The Butt Cracker.
He's describing the card here. He's describing
It's
the card.
a bunch of men in tutus with butt cracks showing. Alan, hope your Christmas is all it's cracked up to be. I would expect no less from you.
That's the card. I saw it, and I'm like, that's the one. That's the one. You're
Thank
welcome.
you. As always, I appreciate it. Now it's your turn, sir.
It's my turn. Now, by the way, the Seattle's Best coffee, I saw it, and I got it, but I got some for me, Seattle's Best, but mine's decaf, so I'm going to try it, too, by the way. So I got some at home that I'm going to try. All right, so yours is a little better wrapped. Who wrapped this?
Me.
See, I hate people that wrap stuff perfectly. See, I don't even want to open it because it's wrapped like, I'm like,
I have learned how to wrap.
Destroy this, you know. I can wrap enough to where you can't see the gift, so I'm pretty good at doing it that way. So we can tear it up in here, live on the air, live on the air, live on the air. Hey, it's a book. This is one of those hardback books.
I have a tradition for you as well. I try to always think about something to add based on your love of either shows or whatever.
Oh, yeah. It is a Game of Thrones House of the Dragon, and it is inside the creation of a Targaryen dynasty. That's cool. That looks like this looks like more of a less of making of, but more of the actual story of the background of the characters and stuff.
Well, I know you and I both love Game of Thrones, and I think
Yes.
House of the Dragon has been a great quote spin-off from that.
It has been. And
And
I
so
love the show.
when I always pay attention to stuff like this, and when I saw this a while ago, I'm like, you know what? This would be perfect for BK.
Right, and I think you got me a book last year, didn't you? On the making of the show. You got me the making of, so it's like make a nice companion to that. And you and I still like books. We still like books we can hold in our hands
I like
and
to
read.
be able to flip through those things we call pages.
Yep.
And sometimes there's illustrations on those pages, and then there's symbols those are called words.
Yeah.
we
And they're
enjoy
actually in your hand.
We enjoy looking at those things.
And I loved getting out old comic books and read them because they have a feel, they have a smell to them. Believe it or not, a comic book that's been in your box and stuff has a papery, sometimes a vinegary smell of paper and stuff like that. Later on, they started printing comics on glossy paper, and it didn't have that. So anyway, we like the old stuff. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. I appreciate
Christmas.
that. That'll give me something to check out the whole next week that I'm off. So.
I hope you enjoy it, because I know we're both probably anxious for season 3 to come out.
And they've announced they're working on it. So.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Now, before we take a break, one of the things we talked about last week, I think it was on your show, so if those folks listening to this, if they were listening to the podcast, like, well, what are you talking about? You talked about this last week. Folks, if you don't listen to BK on the air afterwards, you should go get the podcast. It's on Spotify. We have it out on the WBHF website, or the app. But we talked about, did I see Beetlejuice yet? Because you had asked me, had I seen the sequel?
Yeah, and you texted me.
And I did this week. My wife had an appointment. She wanted to go meet my youngest daughter. She was looking at an apartment closer to her job in Atlanta, but because it's in Atlanta, we were like, one of us needs to check this out, make sure that it's safe.
Right.
So my wife was like, I'm going to have to drive down there. It's going to be an hour there. Going to go hang out at the apartment. It's at least an hour back. I'm going to be gone like 3 hours. I'm like, you know what? Perfect time for me to watch a movie that I know she wouldn't want to watch.
Oh, she's not interested in seeing that.
Well, she might. You know, if I said to her, I'm like, did you want to see the sequel? And she said, yes, I'd rewatch it. I thought Beetlejuice was a lot better than I expected it was going to be.
Did she like the original?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have to ask
you
her.
have to find out. Yeah, it was much better.
I mean, we both like Tim Burton, most of the stuff. We loved the season. That Wednesday is awesome. Love that series.
Right.
And I had no idea that what's her face was the young girl. Oh my gosh, just the name popped right out of my head. Who's the main actress in Wednesday? I didn't realize she was in Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
and it's perfect.
Yeah, playing Winona Ryder's daughter.
Yeah,
appropriately so. It kind of works.
I was shocked. Even though you can tell Winona Ryder's a lot older, but the idea of her trying to keep that same hairstyle somehow worked. And because of all the makeup, you weren't really aware of how much Beetlejuice has aged as the actor.
Yeah.
It worked.
Keaton.
And
it did.
Monica Bellucci? Oh.
Yeah. Not in it enough, in my opinion. She could have been in it a little bit more, but that's the only small complaint I had. And when we saw the trailer when it came out, we were kind of like, wow, that looks... Why did they show every old joke from the old movie in the trailer? Maybe they thought they had to do that to get people to go see it. But they don't recycle that many of them. I think the ones in the trailer were the ones you saw, and that was it. So it surprised me too.
I would watch it again. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a good story. It wasn't a rehash. I don't think it was a rehash at all.
Nope. And interesting how they described the absence of Jeffrey Jones, the guy who played her dad, in it. And we know the actor had some personal problems that he got into. But it's another reason.
Well, plus he's dead.
Yeah, I don't think they would have had him there anyway.
No, I don't think so either. He got himself into some trouble.
Yeah. But it was all done a very well done sequel, which is kind of rare sometimes now. To those movies like that.
But the actress is Jenna Ortega.
Yes.
She was so good in that, and now I have to look at the timing. Did she do Wednesday, which got her in this, or did she do this, which got her in Wednesday? But it was perfect. She was great. And the subplot of the kid in the treehouse.
Right. That was probably one of the best parts.
Oh, my gosh. I did not.
That.
I want to say I didn't see it coming, but I should have, but I didn't see that coming.
And I have to make a small correction. Jeffrey Jones, who played the dad in the original Beetlejuice, is not dead. He's still alive.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, the actor's still with us. I thought he was, so I looked it up to make sure.
I thought he had died.
I looked it up to make sure. His character died in the Beetlejuice.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And an interesting thing, the way they handle that. But he's still around. Yeah, so I don't think he's working much, though, obviously.
No, I guess not.
And he was in other movies. I mean, he had some pretty good roles. Ferris Bueller, Principal and Ferris Bueller. He was in the horrible Howard the Duck movie that came out. So he's been here and there.
Yeah, he's been in several movies, but then, like you said, got into some...
Yeah. But yes, Beetlejuice. Speaking of Tim Burton, did you see the movie I think Tim did before Beetlejuice? We talked about love hate with Tim Burton, and it is. There's some of his movies I really don't like. Did you see his take on Dumbo?
I haven't.
Okay, because it's horrible.
Okay,
I can just say that. And Michael Keaton's in it, and even Michael Keaton now says like I don't know what I was doing in that movie. It was like, and when you're buddies with your director, and you can come out later and say it's horrible. That's easy to say if it flops, So and it flopped too, so it's just not very good.
Well, all in all, first of all, I didn't know Willem Dafoe was in the sequel.
Yeah, right.
I thought his character was great.
He was great.
It's fun when you see a really gifted, serious actor, and they're having fun getting a chance to be more goofy, and almost like getting away with being a bad actor. But that's the point.
Right. It's the point. Yeah,
he was good. I thought everything about it
was good. The score was great. Their use of songs again.
So
the subway dance sequence with the dead. I thought that was great.
Even the fact of the homage to the original Soul Train, and you bring the conductor out there. The one thing I was waiting for him to actually do the Yukon or what was his name?
Don Cornelius.
Don Cornelius. Yeah. I was waiting for him to do that. Everybody doing that. Soul Train. He didn't do that, but it was hysterical.
But I get the joke. It's a soul train.
Exactly.
It's funny. So yeah, well done.
I thought the whole underworld a little bit more. I didn't realize Danny DeVito had a little cameo in that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Funny. Yeah, that was really funny.
Everything about it. The more I think about it, I'd want to watch it again just for everything. The fact that they found. I don't know if they knew the same house or if they rebuilt a lot of the sets.
I'm not sure how they did that. I know the house was an original location. I think up in Northeast somewhere that they were.
The
filming.
fact that they found enough fabric to literally coat a house with black fabric in mourning.
Yeah, they had some
Oh,
budget.
and Catherine O'Hara was great.
Yeah, even she came back and did at least she didn't phone it in. She actually was there. Sometimes they come back and they don't do all that well bringing a character back.
No, so thank you for reminding me that I'd wanted to see that just to see what it was like.
I was hoping that you'd like it, and you did. And if you didn't, it would be more fodder for us to talk about why you didn't like it and why I did, because we got enough of that.
This is one of those instances where we see eye to eye. It was a really good movie.
It's Christmas. That's fate's Christmas gift.
There we
to
go.
us,
It was
is
our
we
gift
both
to
liked
ourselves.
that. We liked that movie.
All right, we're going to take our final commercial timeout. We'll come back. More of the Vulcan Mind Melt coming up. We'll also get a little sneak peek of what's coming up on BK on the Air.
Christmas is the time to say I love you. Share the joys and laughter and the cheer. Christmas is the time to say I love you. And I feel it that lasts all through the year. On the corner, carolers are singing.
There we go, little Billy Squire. Christmas is the time to say I love you. And you heard my, hopefully, monologue as we closed off before the bottom of the hour. Thank you guys in this audience. BK, I think you would join me in saying, while it's great to be able to sit in a room that we don't see the audience, but if there isn't anyone listening, then why are we doing this? We need the audience, and so thank you for being out there.
Very true. Merry Christmas to everybody. And we will be Christmas heavy today over the next hour, 2 hours.
We've got about
and a half.
5 minutes. Let's give a little sneak peek. You traditionally like to dive into the holiday closest to the show that's, the Saturday show. And since Christmas is 5 days away.
And we won't be here next Saturday, unfortunately.
So what do we got in store coming up for BK on the Air?
Well, I figured today that we'll do. I had to move it up, so I figured, and I was going to do it today anyway. But we'll do a Christmas today. You and I can talk about. I want to hit on our Christmas memories growing up, especially some of the probably one of the best years you ever had Christmas. And for me, it was when I was a kid. I mean, I got great Christmas gifts as an adult, but this is that pick out that Christmas of that year that you got maybe one or two things and it blew your mind. You're like, oh, I can't believe this. This is great, and I remember it to this day. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about what we had in the '70s, how everything looked, some of the decorations that we had, some of the types of things that we used, like on the tree, what type of tree we had, because we had a certain type of tree that's pretty retro that's kind of making a comeback, believe it or not.
Was it flocked?
No, we did not have a flocked tree. I'll just give you a quick. We had one of those aluminum silver trees that had the little silver branches that would stick in the wood, and stick out, and then we hung the things, the balls on it and stuff. But it had a color wheel on the floor that you would plug in, and it was a little device that would spin red and green and blue like in a spin, and you just point it at the tree and it would light it up. It was this little. You can get them now. The vintage ones are expensive, but that's the tree that I most remember that we had. We had a Santa Claus door wrap for the front door that you just put over the front door, and it's Santa coming down the chimney.
Did you have the
food, the presents? Did
you have the giant Noel candles that you would plug in?
We didn't have the candles, but we had about a 2.5 foot Frosty the Snowman that a bulb went up inside and lit up with a little cane over his shoulder and a top hat on. We put that in the window, little Frosty the Snowman. We had the flat Christmas decorations that were made of plastic, like the Santa Claus, the Rudolph, the Frosty that would you just put up put it in the windows or put up on the walls or set up or whatever. All of that, the tinsel, the icing, the little aluminum tinsel stringy stuff that you throw up on the tree to make it look like icing and stuff that I would play with in ways that I shouldn't have played with it. I'll get into that later. But yeah, it was. It's just all those Christmas memories, and I think we'll do it all today. And I want to hear from you from Michigan what happened with you guys up there growing up. That's going to be fun.
Sounds like a plan. Before we wrap up, let me just do this very quickly. I owe Shane Barker a quick shout out, a quick voiceover, if you will, of Tree Amigos of America. They are the only tree service used by Waking Up with Alan. Used them multiple times. I used them before he ever became a supporter of my show. So it's a great relationship. His team is phenomenal. They know what they're doing. They've got the state-of-the-art gear. They've got the communication gear. So they're playing with chainsaws. They're up in trees. They're not screaming over the sounds. They've got headsets. They've got the communications, licensed, bonded, insured. They understand that it's always going to be a racket to the neighbors in the neighborhood. So if they can get in, get it done fast, get out of there, and clean it up, not only is that good for you because you want that job done well, it's great for the neighborhood, great for everybody around. That's the kind of job they do. That's why I love Shane Barker and Tree Amigos of America. If you've got a tree issue, a tree need, if you want to just get a consultation, it's free. Give them a call today, 770-676-2300, 770-676-2300.
You were talking cakes and stuff this morning.
I was
with
Valerie.
Valerie Holt, and she always brings up an aunt. Well, we had an aunt at Christmas that would always bring. I love red velvet cakes. That's just one of my favorite ones. But she would bring a red and green velvet cake, so it would have red and green layers in it for Christmas, and the top would have coated peppermint on the top. And when she brought that cake, I said, I don't want anything else. Get the food away from me. I want a piece of that first. It's going to ruin your appetite. No, it won't. I'll eat the cake and still eat the food later. Give me some of that. I didn't get it, but I asked for it. But it was great. I remember that very well. And she mentioned divinity. Mm-hmm. Did you hear her bring that up?
And
the
I had
homemade
never had
candy.
it.
We had that as well. It may have been a Southern thing or an older thing from many years ago, because I know they've been making it for years.
Well,
we had that too.
And Valerie and I talked about this a little bit. Some candies and things are very difficult to make. I think my mom was more of a cookie slash
from scratch,
cake baker. She didn't make a lot of candies or a lot of those maybe exotic things that took a lot of steps and effort, and it was easier to mix it batter and throw it in the oven. So I grew up with a lot of cookies.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No.
And the regular candy canes you can get, the ones that are curved and they're shiny or whatever, we would get those, but we would also get the box of the candy, the peppermint candy cane, but they weren't cane, they were straight sticks that were thick and kind of had a powdery
They were
feel
softer.
to them. They were softer, and I actually preferred those, and we got those too.
Yeah,
those
I
were
like
great.
those.
Chalky,
all
but they
these
still
great memories.
Do
Do you understand? This is why we start decorating right after Halloween, because this is everything about Christmas. It's my youth. It's becoming a parent, watching Christmas through the eyes of my kids, and now you and I with our radio being able to bring all these memories back to life. I love everything about this season.
We'll never forget what we did. And today I'm going to bring up a couple of celebrities that we lost. We'll start off, and we'll do that in the first part of the program, because I want the rest of it to be festive. And let's talk a bunch of Christmas memories growing up today, on and off. And I'll throw some music in there, too, that we love.
All right, with that, and you hear the music coming in, I am done in the books. The show will be up on the podcast over the weekend. Thank you, everybody. Happy 2025. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It's 10 o'clock, top of the hour, WBHF Cartersville.